years in order to make sure the restitution payment is made correctly and they're finding these people. They also make about 60 to 80 payment claims per week. The next one is going to be risk analyst and risk management, totaling $89,000. This is to help with the ADA compliance, public grievances, as well as claims. The next is going to be assistant supervisor with the tax office at $89,000. And the original request was to have one position for property taxes and one position for motor vehicles. After a small discussion with the new tax assessor to see what was really needed, we have came up with a solution to create one position as an assistant supervisor that can help in between each department during the low times and high times, as well as anywhere else needed in that department. They also see an average customer is about $11,000 a month. The next one is going to be Assistant Chief Information Officer over our IT. As you can tell, that department is growing a lot bigger, and this position will help alleviate some of the management duties, as well as I believe the IT has 4 weekly meetings with staff, as well as creating new policies. There has been some security issues that we have been trying to get rid of. So this position will definitely help manage some of the lower staff. We did find one position to get rid of, which was a grant writer. We do have a contract that helps us write grants, and so this position will go away. It's only $17,000, and the reason is because we did not fund the salary when this position was created. Only the benefits were created. And so this position will go away this next year, as well as negative $17,000. Next one is going to be a Maintenance Technician 3, Facility Services. This is to help with the HVAC area throughout the county at $103,000. And I want to remind you that this does include salary and benefits. So if the numbers seem big, it's the benefits that's included.
You say this does or does not?
It does.
Okay.
It does. The only one position that did not include benefits was the negative, or the salary. The next one is going to be Victim Assistance Coordinator with the District Attorney. As the inmate population has increased, so has violent crimes, and so this position will help as well. Along with the District Attorney, they have close to 4,000 cases currently, and this position is based on Texas Code Criminal Procedure 56. The reason for this position is to help reach that victim faster than later, to get that statement from that victim sooner, because if you wait, then that person might not want to speak. The next is going to be Guardian and Probate Court Investigator. The request was to have 2 of them. I have spoke with County Court at Law number 1 to see if it's beneficial just to create one. They're going to share it between the 2 departments, and if this works out, then she's going to gather data to see if this position will be substantial enough to create another position later on. This is to help investigate the probate and guardianship, which means house visits, to make sure that the cases are up to code. And so this position is coming at $96,000. Clerk 3, Justice of the Peace Precinct 4, one position at $79,000. Due to the backlog they're having, they requested additional position. Recruiting specialist at the Sheriff's Office, 1 for $86,000. With the inmate population and the deputies that will be proposed in the budget, it is beneficial to have another recruiting specialist, which will total out to be 2. They have 1 currently, and then another one. This will help with the recruiting as well as all the background checks that it takes for the positions to come on board. As well as,
Question.
yes, go for it.
In the early part of the budgeting process, I think I heard you say that there were 56 new positions that were requested.
Mm-hmm.
And so you went from 56 to 10?
To 34. There's a
34.
page 2.
Oh. Oh, this is specific to one department though, right?
No,
No.
countywide. I put the department that's specific to next to the title. Okay. Regarding the recruiting specialist, TCOL, which is Texas Commission on Law Enforcement, at the discretion of the Texas Legislature.
Accepted this.
In 2023, has begun implementing numerous measures to improve hiring practices of law enforcement agencies. This also includes adding numerous steps to the hiring process, such as verifying applications through a national database for the LE officers. And so this position will help discover a lot of stuff.
But it's all sheriffs. Because they find 1, 2, 3.
Do I continue moving on? Is there a question?
Well, she was just showing me where, but I was just looking at,
Okay,
on the page 2, the most of them are going to the sheriff's department.
correct.
So even though there are 34,
Mhm.
so you're saying of those 56, the bulk of them were for primarily one department?
They were all over, but primary was for the sheriff's department, the jail.
Okay.
Okay?
Just for clarification.
Yes, ma'am. So the next is going to be administrative support manager at the sheriff's office. This position was requested due to the Senate Bill 267 and the 88 legislature. During this time, there was a law that, would have required all law enforcement agencies with more than 20 peace officers to become accredited. By the time it passed both houses and got to the governor, it was vetoed. So we have a feeling that this Senate bill, or this bill, will be coming up in the next phase, and it will probably be passed. Along with that, more than likely, this bill will resurface again. Additionally, the legislature passed laws requiring that they report misconduct investigations and other personnel issues to TCOL, which require more reporting. And so this position will help with the reporting that's going to be required. This position will work to ensure that they are all following the state and federal laws regarding reporting, such as racial profiling, NIBRS, UCR, which I will have to ask the sheriff's office, what does that mean? Compliance, complaints and misconduct, use of force, open records, FOIA, and other requests that come along. Local Government Code 143.089, effective June 1st, 2025, will require them to create a file for each licensee that contains all misconduct documents, periodic evaluations, and disciplinary documents. And this must be sent to TCOL within 30 days by the time that person leaves the law enforcement agency, along with some other stuff, and there's time periods. The next step is going to be detention officers. They have requested 10 detention officers. I'm willing to, and this is because of the inmate population. I want to remind you that 1 to 48 inmates, so 1 deputy per 48 inmates is required. Right now with the inmate population, they are needing 10 detention deputies. 5 of them will be fully funded, which means salary and benefits. The other 5 will just be benefits. My system does not unfund the benefits because we have to have health insurance and we have to offer flex. And so we want to make sure those are covered. But for right now, only 5 are funded, fully funded, and 5 will be unfunded, just benefits, medical and flex. Along with the detention deputies, there's 5 detention officers. They have requested 11 detention deputies to help offset. 5 will be fully funded, which means salary benefits, coming at $754,000. And 6 will be unfunded. The only portion that will be funded is medical, $153,000. The lead juvenile supervision officer, the juvenile detention, which is 1. This is to help train new JSOs once they complete the new employee academy and provide ongoing training. They will also have recreational and program coordinating to develop and schedule beneficial programs for the residents, assist in intakes, and assist in vacant, absent positions when needed. This brings the total between the new requests, personnel, as well as operations to $22 million. Now I kind of like to break it up between the one-time only projects so you can see what's in that $11 million.
Okay, before we move on the new positions, how many open positions do we have in jail administration for these that are the equivalent of the positions we're proposing to add?
HR, do you mind?
We prepared handouts for you all. that have countywide vacancies as well as sheriff's office as a whole, split up into admin and jail, and then further into detention officers. Detention officers is one of the ones that's being requested. We did not do detention deputies, but if you want that info, we can work on that and get it to you.
Yeah, I'd just like to know, and then the other thing is, you know, obviously we're understaffed, so we need with our current population, and we're paying overtime, so what are we looking at mitigating as far as that goes?
So if you'll take a look at the handout that I just gave you, page 1 compares last fiscal year and this fiscal year to date countywide vacancies. And you can see the trend line there. Page 2 is a combination of all of SO, admin and jail. Okay. Page 3 is SO admin vacancies specifically. SO admin only. Page 4 are SO jail vacancies, so all open positions within SO jail only. And then page 5 are just detention officer positions, specifically just detention officer.
So in addition to the 13 vacancies that we have in detention office now,
They're
we-
asking for-
for another 5?
No.
10.
We're
10.
asking for another 10, and this is based on statute. And for the amount of population that the jail has, this is what is needed to cover the population up to date. We have 840 was the average. And it's statute.
Statutes.
It's by statute.
By law and
The
statute.
unfunded statute. I wish there was a better way to put it. Yes, we've been paying overtime. It's because, yes, there's been some positions been vacant. They have been making it work between the admin going to work for the jail, you know, trying to help alleviate the stress. I wish that people would love to go be a jailer, but if you do not give these positions to the jail, then we could get, I don't want to pronounce it wrong. I don't want, our accreditation can be taken away. I'm not sure. This is where I asked the jail to speak on that behalf.
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't want to be in a position to where we're working against ourselves in retention, because if we require too many people to work too many hours in excess of what their traditional duties are, we're working against ourselves, because we're going to burn those people out, we're going to lose those folks, and we're working against ourselves as far as retention goes. Without question. And I like, you know, looking at the overall trend here in countywide vacancies, looking at overall, you know, in each of the components there, that kind of explains that we're going to be better off on our general fund surplus. Or at least we're trending in the direction where we would be, because all of these vacancies that we have listed here in each budget year, 22, 23, and 20, so far up in 24, those were all fully funded positions, correct?
Correct. We fund all positions 100%, not knowing if they're going to be filled or not. There's no way for me to estimate, especially for the smaller departments. If there's 3 positions and then one's vacant for the longest, I would not unfund that position because they will be in trouble closer to the end.
And our total current employee count, not, I mean, the ones that we budgeted employees. How many budgeted employees do we have? 1,007.
They're all budgeted, no matter if it's fully funded or just benefits.
Okay.
But we have 1,007 that was adopted this year, but we added 1, which was a roving bailiff. So this year we'll end at 1,008.
Okay, and just off the top of your hand, do you know where we were back in 22 when we were at 163?
982.
And I have that later in this presentation, the past history.
Thank you.
We try to predict what the questions to come. We might not be able to answer all of them right off the top of our head, but we'll be able to get it to you
Oh,
at
a
a
lot
later
of
date.
people say I'm not predictable, so I'm glad. I'm happy to.
I don't know, we're not done yet. Before I move to the one-time only projects, I do want to go to the next page regarding the balance with the capital projects. As you can see, it jumped from 22 million to 97 million. And I want to explain where that number has came from. So nothing has changed regarding the expenditure budget besides 3 lines. One of the 3 lines is transferred to the grant fund, which is 10,320,000. This is for the ongoing general capital projects, vehicles. This is including North Wing, Sanctuary, our admin building. That's where majority of this money is going to. The transfer to ARPA grant fund, the 15.3, this is going to be the remainder of the ME building that the ARPA grant cannot cover. And we had discussed this regarding the capital projects last week. The next one is going to be the transfer to Fund 4323-2. This is one of the debts that we took out this last year, and it was for what the admin building. We're calling it 101 North. Since the BIC building's no longer there, we changed the name to 101 North. The total estimate's coming up to be close to 61 million, so we're needing 50 million to cover that build out. And all this is coming from fund balance. And so that's where that number comes up to 97 million. But everything else remained the same regarding personnel and all the one-time only projects. Next, I want to explain the 11 million that was on the 2 pages regarding the one-time only projects and the non-capital projects. I do want to show that in the non-capital projects, we have a couple projects that are rolling because they're already active or they're about to be active at the end of this year regarding a PO will be created. The first one's going to be Boonville Cemetery. This is building repairs. Facility Services had requested this current year, and they have requested it to roll next year at a total of $35,000. Purchasing administrating non-capital, it's the Brazos County Facility Design Guidelines. It is in progress. We're rolling $218,000. Facility Services, non-capital, the tax office and AgriLife site drainage. Remember a couple weeks ago, there was a contract that was signed on this project, and it's going to be in progress. We're rolling $672,000. Currently in progress is going to be the courthouse elevator replacement. I believe as of last week, we're waiting on some part. And so hopefully that will be operational by the end of this year. But just in case, we need a budget 252. If this project is completed by the end of the year, the money will go away back into contingency. It will not be used for any other project. The Sheriff's Office Administration, this regional armed rescue vehicle, it has been on the books for several years. We are in an ILA agreement with the cities. As soon as that vehicle arrives with College Station IST and we get invoiced, that project will go away. Hopefully it will arrive this year. I think we're counting on it. I'm getting ahead. So yes, so hopefully this will be the last year it's on the books. The next step is going to be in the jail. It's the jail shower renovation. I think they're currently looking at the bids right now, and the estimate is 1.3. Next up is Road and Bridge. These are projects that are needing to roll forward because they're in progress. The Bridge Scour project, 1.3, as well as the current capital roads in progress, 1.3, which brings things that are rolling to next year's 5 million. I don't want to go through every single thing, but I want to hit on the high points regarding the one-time only items. I don't think that $800 for a chair is very important at the moment, so I want to do the bigger options. You'll have this list to review, and then you can ask questions if you like. I do want to point out on the Boonville Cemetery, we're cutting dead trees. The contract is ready, but we're going to start in October, which is $28,000. The next step is going to be risk management administration. You'll see $100,000 going to ADA compliance, as well as brokerage services. And I think one contract has come back and it's being reviewed. I'm looking at risk management. And I think that's for the brokerage services.
Okay, and The ADA compliance, that's for what you need for all county facilities?
Yes.
Okay.
And she can come speak on that if she needs to.
No,
Okay.
that's just what we need to bring us into compliance.
I think it's going to be a report to tell us what we're not in compliance in, and then give suggestions on how to be in compliance.
Okay, and brokerage services of 50,000,
I'll let her speak on that one real quick. Leslie from Risk Management.
Currently, the brokerage services have been bid out. They're trying to get a solid contract now. It is for specifically malpractice insurance and cyber liability and malpractice insurance. They will be our broker to be able to go out for marketing and get us quotes from other insurance companies. They'll also be able to help us with other risk management services as well.
okay, and the cyber liability, I think we talked about that before, the malpractice, that's relative to our health clinic?
Yes, so it's currently we have malpractice health clinic. We are also going to include health district and potentially the jail as well.
Okay. So where we have people where we have a potential liability. We're covered in those areas, but we need somebody to go out and do brokerage service. So what do we think we're gonna net bring to the bottom line by having paying somebody to do $50,000 on an annual basis? What are they gonna bring back to us and what we anticipate saving?
So they'll basically get all the quotes, market it. They'll do risk analysis on the county. We have to fill out a bunch of documentation in order for them to do all this for us. They'll also provide analysis for us if we request. They'll cover contract insurance. If we have questions on an internal contract and we want them to help us with the insurance on it, they will do that. Is there anything you want to add?
I guess I'm just asking what are we getting for our 50K on a relative improvement of service quality to our community or in net fiscal savings on what we plan to be spending on these things?
I can't speak to risk, I can't speak to any net savings other than the counterbalance of liability management versus paying out of pocket for some of those things. But they will handle consulting services to tell us if we have the right types of coverage in the right types of areas pursuant to the services and all that our medical staff, our IT, the liability that we have for privately held information that the county keeps. So it's consulting services as well as all, most everything that Leslie mentioned to make sure that we're getting the right types of coverages to handle any exposure that we may have.
That we don't have any unprotected potential liabilities.
I don't know that we're trying to cover every potential liability that we may have, but try to limit or provide coverage for those gaps that we have, Commissioner. And so we're not going to eliminate all risk by any stretch.
No.
And so I just want to be clear that we're trying to, and I think Leslie, through this,
Yeah,
this is
just
also a
help to
procurement.
evaluate it.
It's also a procurement mechanism to be able to handle that because of the depth of knowledge required for each of those particular types of insurance. That's not necessarily anything that the staff, the county staff has in-house right now.
Right.
And so it is to get someone that is more knowledgeable to help us provide the best coverage that we can.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I just asked the question for $50,000. Now, then these are, it says these are this is a one-time.
One time.
Gotcha. That's the part I missed. Okay, thanks.
It's a one-time expense for the $50,000 until we get the contract in, and it might be annual, but it will not probably be $50,000. This is just an estimate. Okay. And so until we get the bid back on regarding which contract that they go with, then we can reevaluate, because you're going to have to approve the contract when that comes through. But for right now, it's a one-time only because it's new, And I can't promise we'll have it again this next year until
Okay.
y'all approve the contract.
Well, I'm assuming that a whole lot of that is the initial workup that you have to do in your office in order to be able to provide them with the information so they can do the analysis.
Correct.
And then ultimately, the result of that would be an ongoing working relationship with them over a period of time,
Yes,
and
sir.
that's what the contract would be about.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. Thanks.
Sound good? Yes, a lot of these are estimates. Some are to the dollar regarding a chair or, desk, but a lot of the contracts we won't know until we actually go out for bid. The next is going to be IT. For $70,300, it's for age camera replacement. They're going to replace 142 cameras throughout the county. The next big ticket item where you see $12,360. This is for $10,000. $10,000 of it is for network switch replacement, which is usually a every other year kind of thing. So, of course, it's one time only since it's not every year. As well as the Aruba switch that needs to be replaced. As you can see, there's chairs and little small office supplies that are one time only that the departments do request. But I like to go to a little bit bigger items. Let's see. Project management. Out of that $11 million, I want to make note that $10 million of that is going to building maintenance, which is regarding the facility assessments evaluation that was held at the expo. And the plan is to get the things that were needed to be fixed, as well as moving on to other building assessments. And so you see $9 million is budgeted there. Along with another 500, it's a total of 10, but I broke it down. $9 million is going to be building maintenance because majority of it is building maintenance. $500,000 would be contract services regarding certain items that might need it that we had to have a contract for. And $500,000 is under professional services. So if we need architect or design because we have to rework the lines for the water, this is where it's going to be budgeted. It's a total of $10 million. I put it as a one-time only because it's a big number. For the following years, it might be less, it might be a little bit more, but I think that's the time when we need to discuss what it needs to be. But for right now, based on the expo cost analysis, it's a little bit over $10 million. So $10 million is going to go under project management.
Looking at the assessments that we've made on our facilities with our project managers and folks, do we anticipate that this will be a ballpark annual, or are we playing catch up here on a big part and then moving forward?
I would hate to promise that this is going to be a normal number. This is just one building. This
Yeah,
is, well, not one,
that's-
this is multiple buildings at the
Okay,
expo complex.
That's why I was asking the question. This is because if deferred maintenance, we're saving ourselves money in the long run, it makes sense to annually appropriate money for these types of repairs so they don't build up on us.
I would hope so. This $10 million for right now, unless you want me to budget a little bit more, I can, but without the assessments regarding the other buildings, it would,
No, I'm just looking forward for whoever's sitting here next year and looking at the budget and that type of stuff, whether this is something that they ought
should
to
be
be
ongoing.
anticipating as an ongoing, and if so, what's the appropriate amount for, there should be some type of,
I think it should be $10 million each year, just basing off the expo, looking at the size of it.
Okay.
Personally, that's my opinion, but we haven't looked at the jail, we haven't looked at the sheriff's office or the courthouse, and so I don't want to promise a number, but I would be comfortable
No,
with $10 million
that's-
for right now.
this is a one-time deal, so I got it, but just kind
But
of
it's going to be ongoing, this should be ongoing, but I wanted to make sure that the number was shown out there so you understood where this money was coming from.
Well,
Okay.
I agree, it makes sense to do the maintenance instead of defer the maintenance, because it'll add up on you.
I agree.
Thanks.
The next is human resources. Out of $200,000 requested, $150 can be for the compensation benefit study, as well as $50,000 for HCM remediation, which is with the Oracle. Okay. Any questions about that? Then I'll move on. The next big item is going to be for purchasing administration. This is really ongoing, but not for every year. The 60,000 is going to be for copy replacement. The last 2 years, we have put under purchasing, and as the copiers are needing to be replaced, they go out for bid. We move the money to the correct departments. We should only have a couple more years of this, but it's really a one-time only because it's not county-wide. It's for selected departments. Facility services, the next big ticket item is $370,000. Within that is $250,000 for the heater boiler replacement at the SO building. $20,000 is for attic space cleaning at IT, and this is when the roof replaced. They need to go in and clean some of the mess that's in between the roof and the attic. $100,000 for the chase and ceiling fireproofing ceiling at the juvenile. The next line is going to be $50,000 for the sprinkler head replacement at the juvenile. $160,000, which you have $35,000 for locks and parts to be replaced at the jail and juvenile. And this is for, it brings me back to the old jail movies, you know, when they slam the jail door and they use the old locks. It's pretty much those type of locks. $125,000 replaced for the chill water, heating, and cooling tower at the admin building, as well as the courthouse. $245,000 will be budgeted for fire alarm system replacement at the courthouse. For the VESA replacement at the O part of the juvenile, the fire alarm command computer replacement at the jail. $50,000 has been requested, and this came from a request from the district judges as well as the county clerk to design a area for bulletproof glass. And so, of course, regarding how heavy the bulletproof glass is, it will have to have our architect to design on how to place this. And for right now, it's $50,000 just for the architect. As I'm scrolling down, I'll give you all time to review. Like I said, it's going to be software for additional laptops, replacement of judges' robes. Of course, that's one time only. Business cards, one time only. We also have vest replacements for the jail. We asked the constables if they need vest replacements. We've been telling them to make sure that's in their budget every year, so you'll see vests to come up on a couple of these items. For the sheriff's office, they're asking $19,400. Within that, it's for a CMV scale box. And I believe this is the commercial, so if you get pulled over in a semi, this is to help, these are portable scales. And this is to help weigh the trucks. Rifle locker, dog box for one of the sergeants. Document scanner endorsers, as well as 4 radars for the patrol units. The next big item is $9,200. This is for truck deck boxes and the 3 CID units that they have, as well as 1 livestock unit. And this is boxes that go in the back of the truck, which the dog carriers will be sitting on, and they're waterproof, and so it gives them extra storage to put underneath. For the jail, they requested $7,500. Is to require, they're going to purchase 2 pepper ball guns and equipment. This comes with training as well. And 3 additional computers for their staff. They also requested $10,000 to help with employee retention. As you can see, when we get to the constables, we make sure that they have, when their vests retire, we want to make sure that they get the new ones. It's usually every 4 to 5 years, and so we make sure that's in the budget as well. For juvenile, you'll see they're requesting $38,550. That amount is to replace 24 of their radios, as well as add what is needed. The quote came in at $38,500, so I gave them $40 for inflation. $9,600 is to purchase 2 detention tables and one of their for the Alpha Pod. 1 table sitting for another table, as well as, I'm trying to read so small print, 5 office chairs to replace some of the old ones that are worn out, and things like that. For the Expo Center, you'll see $8,500. They're going to replace their floor scrubbers, vacuums, and they're needing additional monitor cables as well as a pressure washer. $20,000 has been requested as a one-time to help update some of the paint the doors, walls, and some of the parking lot areas. Some of the stuff we might not be able to wait for the maintenance contract, so if it's something that the staff can do, we want to make sure they're able to do it. For Brazos Center, you'll see $250,000 budgeted to get the parking lot repaired, as well as $52,000 to replace the banquet chairs, as well as $9,700 for overhead door replacement. So that is that's where the $11 million is coming from. So keep in mind, $10 million of it it's really, it's not a one-time only for the, not the deferred maintenance, for the expo maintenance, but it's a big enough number for me to spotlight it, okay? And then ongoing, then we can discuss what the ongoing amount should be every year. Before we get into personnel, I would like to take a 10-minute break, let everybody get a little breather, and then we'll come back.
You ready? All right, let's start back up.
The next part of the presentation is going to be position reclassifications. In the beginning of the first sheet, there was that 1.2 million, so I want to go into a little bit more detail regarding where that number comes from. And this is, remind you, this is stuff that's already, that would be in the proposed budget, and then we'll go over the stuff that's not in the proposed budget. I do want to remind everybody that this year there was about 156 personnel requests. And so a little bit over $8 million. But first off, the number one is going to be this is going to be in the county judge's office. This is community and intergovernmental affairs liaison. It's a title change to economic development coordinator, as well as a salary adjustment due to the economic development that has been brought forward to the county. And I'm sure the Commissioners Court is aware of some of the items that have been coming in. It has been noted that this position needs to be changed, as well as it was a review regarding what the cities call their economic development offices as well, and so we kind of want to align them together. The next is going to be administrative assistant for the county judge. Open records will be transferring from the county court, from the county commissioner's court to the county judge. So this is additional duties that would be added onto this position. Open records is pretty much almost a full-time job due to people requesting items. That's $6,973. And keep in mind, this includes salary and benefits. Okay, it's a lump sum. The chief of staff, county judge, will be transferring from county judge to the commissioner's court.
So we're going back from, originally open records was under the judge, and then the open records when Audrey moved over came to commissioner's court. Now that function's going back to the judge.
Under statute, open records is under the county judge, I believe.
Gotcha.
The next is going to be project manager to assistant project manager. This is a title change and a department transfer. Back in November, December, We received court approval to move the budget analyst out of the county auditor to the budget office. And so what we're doing is removing the funds, and where that $19,000 comes from, it's coming from a deletion from the other budget analyst in the county auditor, and it will be a savings to the county, and I'll get to that in just a bit. Budget Analyst 1 to the Budget Office. This position was created underneath the County Auditor in 2024, and we're moving it from that department to the Budget Office. Office Manager in the Tax Office. Due to the new FSLA requirements regarding the annual salary, we had to adjust this, and this request came from the HR department. And so we had increased groups. It wasn't a cost increase, but we want to make sure that when that position gets vacant, that the new person meets the FSLA requirements when hired on. Network Technician 1 to Network Technician 2 in IT. This is the delete to create a position. This position is going to take on additional responsibilities. The $977 is, my computer, when I delete a position to create a position, it does certain things, and so it rounds numbers. What happened was this position was budgeted 1 step higher than was requested, and to keep numerical order, I'm deleting a position at the end, which is position 3, and creating it at the same amount with 1 step to cover with the person who's in this position currently, so they do not get a pay decrease. Chief Information Security Officer, a salary adjustment at $17,000, and this was based on salary comps throughout different counties. And so we're trying to adjust that to match. Human Resource Coordinator, salary adjustment at $9,700. This is regarding salary comps, as well as the next 3 compensation and benefits analysts through HR. One's $11,900 and 2 are $3,788. The next is a Human Resource Assistant, $3,597, based on salary comps, as well as Assistant Director of HR, $12,000, based on salary comps.
Okay. Refresh my memory. These are all prior to COLA.
This includes COLA. So this is on top of COLA.
This includes, okay, so this is adjusted for an assumed 4.5% COLA.
Correct.
Okay.
This is on top. The next is going to be, we're deleting the budget analyst that I referred to that's being transferred from the county auditor to the budget office. It's a negative $159,000. And so if you add 108,000 minus 159, there's going to be a loss as well if we're donating money back to the county. And this will be able to continue hiring staff as I grow a little bit. So 1 position went away, or we're giving a little bit of money away.
Okay, so there's an offset between Budget Analyst 1 in the Budget Office and Budget Analyst 1 in the county auditors, and that's a direct offset.
We're just moving them.
Okay.
We're just moving from one department to another. We're cleaning up.
Okay.
The first assistant county auditor, this position was created in the past year, but it was 0 funded. And so this next year, since it has been filled, we are going to fund it, and this includes salary and benefits. Assistant purchasing agent, it's a salary adjustment of $5,750. This is based on additional RFPs, as well as the types of requirements that are needed in these RFPs and RFQs. Since ARPA-related projects have come forth, there's a lot of additional information that we have to meet, as well as they are overseeing staff. Victim and Witness Coordinator to Victim Assistant Coordinator. This position had a different name as the other victim coordinators, and so we're changing that to make them all the same. Of course, no increase or decrease. Victim Assistant Coordinator and the District Clerk, this is a salary adjustment due to the FSLA requirement, and so this is increased to the budget of $1,800. We want to make sure that when that position is filled, it's meeting those requirements. Bailiff and 361st, asked for a salary adjustment of $7,928. 472nd District Court. This last year, we unfunded all positions we created. The only position that was funded was the judge. So this next year, since all positions have been filled and that court is active, this is where we're going to have to fill them 100% at $348,000. The felony associate judge and juvenile court referee, currently this position is split 50% with family court and 50% with juvenile. And so this next year, we're going to combine it all under one department. So of course, there's no funds that are increasing. It's just doing the allocations different. And so we changed the name from juvenile court referee to felony associate judge to juvenile court referee. The next step is going to be court reporter, family law associate judge, salary adjustment of $600. This is to align them with the district judge's court reporter. Same thing with the bailiff law, family law associate judge, $15,000 salary adjustment. This is to align them with 361st bailiff. This year, we tried to review all the bailiffs to see if we could kind of put them on a salary range, but due to all the types of certifications that each one has or years of experience, it was a little difficult. And so it will still be on the table to discuss in the future year. Juvenile defender to receptionist at the public defender. This year, under the public defender, there was a juvenile attorney that was funded just for benefits. This year, it's changing. This year, we like to call it receptionist and funded fully. This is a party with with juvenile defender instead of having that attorney at the moment. The RUOK coordinator is no increase. It's moving from the RUOK ARPA division to the sheriff's office. And so zero funding, just a department transfer. Supervisor, dispatch, sheriff's administration. We continue with the salary ranges under the sheriff's office, and one group that they wanted to review was the dispatchers. And so we took the 911 dispatch personnel to compare them to, and so this is where we're going to match them with the 911 dispatch service. So their supervisor will be set on a salary range at $70,000, just like the 911 dispatch center. Of course, it's a $5,000 decrease because the current position was budgeted higher, and so we're decreasing it to match the max. Okay. Along with the supervisor for the dispatch, there's 6 telecommunication officers that will be put on a range. Currently, the max would be $60,000, and this matches the 911 dispatch. The average per position is $9,000, but of course, they're going to be on a salary range or a salary career ladder, and so it's going to take them a while to get there. But we want to make sure that the opportunities are the same for 911 as well as the sheriff's dispatch. Next up is going to be the sheriff's administration. Due to we had 12 positions unfunded this year, we're going to fund 2 positions this next year to keep the to make sure we cover the positions are filled, as HR showed that the positions in the sheriff's office has been filled, and we want to make sure that we do not get into a predicament where we cannot cut payroll. And so this is funding 2 more positions, but keeping 10 of them unfilled. And then we'll revisit again next year to see if we need to open up additional positions. The detention deputy at the sheriff's office, 21 positions were funded this year. We are matching the detention deputies the same as the sheriff's office deputies, just because of the transfers back and forth between the jail and the detention office. In the sheriff's administration office, as they move back and forth, that their pay is the same, so it's easier to move them back and forth, okay? That's an increase of $118,000. Within that, 20 positions will remain unfunded. So 41 positions total, but 20 positions will remain unfunded. The general manager at the expo, it was a salary adjustment to match the actual salary, including the COLA. Administrative secretary at the Agricultural Extension Office, they requested a part-time position to go full-time. As you see, the community has been growing as well as families, and so we want to make sure that they give the perfect opportunity to put themselves out there to help the community grow and learn about agricultural. Operations manager to capital project manager, there was a title change. And of course, department head adjustments, $77,000. It was salary adjustments.
What department head?
Department heads in general that we had discussed in executive. So just not one, several. Okay. Any questions regarding position reclassifications? I do want to refer back to the past history regarding how many positions were created. Let me make this a little smaller. Proposed for FY25 is 1,041. On the side here, you'll see where those positions are created in the function. 4 have been added to general government. 4 has been added to justice system. This is including like the courtrooms, that kind of thing. 24 for law enforcement, 1 for juvenile, and 1 for public health. And again, here's the list regarding the positions that were granted. This year, remember I mentioned that we created the roving bailiff as an emergency order, which brought our total count up this year to 1,008. And again, here's all the positions listed, which the 34 comes out to be. We're creating 33 FY25, but 1 was created this year. So it's a total of 34. Oh, that's small. So now we're going to go through departmental budget. And this is where you're going to see where some of the decreases as if positions were transferred from departments to another department, as well as departmental operation decreases. If a department did not make an appointment with me or choose not to make an appointment to discuss their budget, I reviewed their budget and adjusted accordingly. If they haven't spent funds in the past several years, I decreased, a little bit to offset it. Okay, for the county judge. And please speak up. So this is going to combine everything that we just talked about regarding one-time only projects, new positions, reclassifications. I wanted y'all to see it by department so you can see the decreases or increases. Keep in mind that the salary benefits include the 4.5% cost of living, as well as the longevity increase that the court approved in October that takes effect this next October. November. The first payout's in November, sorry. Okay, the first step, county judge. You'll see a decrease of $472,000. This is because the chief of staff is moving from that department to the commissioner's court, as well as the 2 project manager positions are moving out. There's also one-time purchase of the -15. There was one-time purchases this last year, which is furniture for the additional project management position, and so that will go away. The bottom line, $31,000. Procore will move from the county judge's office. This is a construction type of software. It will go to project management. Budget office will be increased by 61%. This is because we're moving 2 budget analysts from the county auditor to the budget office. It will be 3 total positions, but 1 position will remain unfunded until time to be hired. And that's going to be my old position many years ago. And so it will be unfunded until I'm ready to put it in place. The -$60,000, I no longer need a support system for the budgeting system, and so that will go away. Commissioner's Court, you'll see an increase. This is because we moved the chief of staff from county judge to the Commissioner's Court, as well as every year, more retirees retire. I need to increase the retiree benefits, and so that increased a little bit. The non-departmental budget, I decreased by $339,000. This is because prior experiences, it was always budgeted a little higher, and so I took some money away to see where we stand this next year. I didn't want to take a whole lot away. So what comes out of professional services are attorney fees, any professional development fees. And so it's hard to estimate attorney fees, especially this last couple of years, but I wanted to cut a little bit off the top and see how we go.
Question.
Yes, sir.
Under Commissioner's Court, remind me again, the benefits number being there non-commensurate with the rest of the departments.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
The benefits under Commissioner's Court.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you compare that to salary and wages,
Oop, that's too big.
it's like 8 times.
Because we have retiree health benefits I need to cover, and we put underneath Commissioner's Court.
Okay, so that's just an accounting deal. That's where it is. So how much of that benefits is
Commissioner's Court?
actually commissioners'
Salaries?
salaries,
I could tell you.
wages, and benefits?
So under the Commissioners Court Administration, there's a total of $339,000 that goes towards your benefits. The staff, the rest is going to be retiree health.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, it would.
Besides the commissioners, we have 3 other employees in Commissioners Court.
You
4.
put- There's 4 commissioners
Yeah,
and then
we
2
just-
staff members.
We just got one moved over.
We just got one moved over. And
Yeah,
yes.
But what I'm saying is there a way we can break that out? Because, I mean, a lot of people looked at that during the budget. and
I
they
could break it
looked
out
over the
separately.
budget and said, hey, what is the deal with the Commissioners Court getting 5 times the amount of salary of benefits than is required from their salary and wages on
I
a
could-
comparative basis?
I could break it out separately when asked, but this is how we have to propose the budget, is in this formatting.
I understand that.
But yes, I could break it out
You
separate.
gotta have the accounting right, but it also, I mean, you know, people have asked me in looking at the budget is how come the Commissioners Courts get 5 times as much benefits?
They just need to ask, and I can explain line, I know, but I can't, this is how we have to propose the budget in this
I
formatting.
understand.
But I will be able to explain line item by line item. The one way for them to look at it is regarding position control, which we do not publish, but they're more than happy to ask regarding public records.
Yeah, that's,
Okay?
yeah, I mean, why have to go that far to look for the real data? It's no different
It's a
than,
statute.
it's no different than the question we asked today and we addressed once again as far as claims.
Correct.
And open, you know, I just think it's an open government deal.
And I can provide it, it's just during this presentation, I need to get it, you know, discussed. But I could definitely provide it broken down by department, which I do have.
Yeah, I would prefer that, thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's, from a comparative basis, it's cleaner.
I could send you the report.
Yeah, I don't need to know the report. I need somebody that picks up a copy of our budget to be able to look at it and say, oh,
The reason why we adopt it this way is because this is how our accounting processes are.
I understand. it's an
Until the
accounting.
county auditor changes the county product, this is, I'm going to bring Katie up here. We adopt budget by category,
Gotcha.
not by line item.
Gotcha.
Okay?
I understand that.
For non-departmental, you see $1 million is for OPEB, which is an ongoing expense, but I wanted to pinpoint what that $1 million is for. And so let me scroll down. $6 million for contingency. The community support, as you saw on the front page, it was an increase. The total increase for community support was $752,000. Fleet, shop, light equipment. This is going to be for the small vehicles, patrol units, and trucks. Increase of $26,000. Election administrator, increased by $36,000. Voter registration, no increase. The American Rescue Plan Revenue Replacement Division is a decrease of $1 million. Keep in mind that we still have $500,000 for the Wixon generator that we're doing a contract for. County Treasurer Administration increased to $28,000. Risk management, in the proposed budget, there's that risk analyst position that was added. We're increasing the accidents due to claims, and so that was increased by 24. And of course, there's the ADA compliance and broker contract for $100,000 that they're going out for bid. The tax assessor collector, this is a total increase of $221,000. It's due to the assistant supervisor position being added. They also have a one-time only for chair replacement and a jack to help load some of the heavy boxes. Information technology is an increase of $436,000. This is the creation of the assistant chief position. We reclassify the network position, and of course, increase the technology for training, and travel. IT services, you see, has decreased by $101,000, and this is because some of the contracts have came in lower, or some of the contracts are going away. And this number comes directly from IT, and so we work with them to help make sure that's in the budget. Project management, as discussed, this is going to be a new department for next year. This is where that $10 million is going to be budgeted. The extra is going to be $300,000 is going to be for salary, benefits, and to help them get started off the ground regarding operational costs. And going back to the retiree health, we can move it out of Commissioner's Court and put it into non-departmental, and so that can make it a little bit more clearer. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I think that'd be an appropriate place to put it.
Okay. I can make that adjustment. We'll put it into non-departmental, which is under Commissioner's Court, which will show under OPEB. Okay, we
Yeah,
already
I think it'll make it clearer when somebody looks
No,
this up and
I totally
looks at it.
understand.
And then, go ahead.
You sure?
Well, no, we'll go ahead and get through with all this.
Human resources increased by $250,000. This is because of salary adjustment, staff salary adjustment, additional laptops for training, as well as the HCM remediation, as well as the compensation study. County auditor, you see a decrease of $581,000. This is because we're moving 2 positions out of the county auditor's office into budget, and we are deleting the grant writer. It was only benefits, and the High Street contract, it has been discontinued, which was our contract to support for our Oracle. Purchasing administration has decreased $411,000. This is because this year they were approved for one-time only projects, which have been completed. Facility services is an increase of 1.9, as we discussed in the one-time only projects. This is where some of the increases have come from. The boiler and chiller annual costs, cost of supplies have increased regarding some of the parts. As inmate population increases, their services regarding paper goods that comes from the facility services will increase. Landscaping, an increase of $24,000. County records management, just only an increase of $4,457, with a total general government of an increase of $11 million. Remember, $10 million of that was for project management. Judicial system. Pre-trial bond supervisor only increase is $7,000. As you can tell, we discussed this in capital, that we moved contingency into its own account, so it's better understood by the departments as well as the public, so they know that there's a contingency line item, so it's easier to see. And so that's where you see some of these negatives. And because there's contingency in certain departments, it's because they collect fees that's specific for that department